Okay, so we're still talking about planning and preparation for your marketing event, yes? That's where we left off. So we were discussing PPIs. So we talked about having the correct unit assets and personnel. What about Met assets specifically? What Met assets will you need for the event? Like what are the things that you need to plan and prepare for when you're utilizing Met assets? First of all, who has an actual Met team?
Must be nice.
That must be nice, huh? So I'll take it that you don't have one.
Yeah.
Okay. So for those of you all who have one, how were you able to establish that team? Let's help Sarn out. Sarn Miller. Go ahead,
I
Sarhan.
bought a whole bunch of inflatables, and I told the commander that our Met is going to actually set up, run the event, so the recruiters have an opportunity to recruit. Because when I was in the field, I had to set up, run the event. I didn't have a chance to get leads or anything because I was working the event. So my justification was that the Met guys will set up, run the event, break down, and the recruiters show up, recruit, and do their thing. And that was enough justification for him.
So you convinced the command that there was a bona fide need for you to have a Met team. Fantastic. Anybody else want to add to that? Yes,
Can I
Sarn.
ask a question about that?
Go ahead, ask away.
Hey, so when you brought the justification, how long was that before the commander said, all right, cool, now you have allocations for Met?
Right after I talked to him about it.
Shut up.
And I showed him what we ordered too. So I ordered obstacle courses. I redid everything that we had in marketing. I threw everything away and I bought all new stuff. And it was big inflatables. I said I can't do all that by myself. Recruiters should be able to recruit, not set up events and run it. And he didn't know that. He didn't know it was ran that way.
So a lot of times the commands aren't aware of how the events are being run. Do we agree with that?
Yes.
So it's our job to show them, what the issues are, bring that to their attention. Because as Sarhan said, his commander didn't realize it. Like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. So you mean to tell me we could be generating 1,000 more leads than what we've been getting? It's all about the numbers, right? At the end of the day, we want to show how we can better support the NCOs to generate and collect those leads. Anyone else? They have anything else to add? Okay, for those of you, excuse me, who have the Met teams, how were you able to create that Met team? Like, what were the steps? So the first thing was showing that there was a bona fide need for a Met team within your state. What else did you do?
Budget.
Budget.
Because you got to go off of their rank. So I can't hire anyone that's over E4. Because you can't afford it. And if I do hire somebody over E4, then I have to get rid of my other E4s. So I'm running 3 E4s right now instead of an E5 and E4. But I have 3 guys instead of 2.
Cool. Okay, what you got, specialist?
Well, so we didn't create our Met team. Like it's been in place for years now. But for bigger states, I will say that we've seen a much bigger benefit having an NCOIC on the Met team. For years, we had just E4s. We had about 4 or 5 across the state, and equipment was not being taken care of appropriately. Events were not planned appropriately, and we now have an NCOIC for each Met team. Well, now they actually 2 E6s actually, and just it takes a lot of the workload off of us.
Cool. Okay.
So marketing is able to concentrate more on the marketing, and then we just sync up with the 2 Met NCOICs.
Sarmulin, I saw you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we got an E6 and like 3 E5s and a bunch of E4s.
Okay.
I run in 2 different teams, but the E4s, especially E4s, but even E5s, they get based on hire is that they're gonna become recruiters. So they're kind of like job shadowing,
Okay.
learning, but the E4s are looking to become recruiters.
Same thing,
Outstanding.
like it's been treated as a recruiter stepping stone and figuring out who could be kind of like who's on the bench essentially.
Gotcha. So you're like cultivating the next generation of recruiters in the meantime. So you're like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. That's phenomenal. Okay. In terms of the Met teams, how are you able to hire these personnel?
ADOS.
ADOS, tell me about it, Sarn.
What about it? So, hey, do an interview board, however your organization wants to do it, where you sit down with them, talk about their strengths and weaknesses, to get command buy-in to.
Right.
The command has to sign off saying, hey, they understand it, because that soldier still has to drill with their unit.
Uh-huh.
And you gotta budget that in your budget.
Roger.
ADOS soldiers.
Okay, so big planning and preparation that needs to be done with the hiring considerations,
Another thing is they have to meet the active duty standards too.
such as,
Two APFTs a year, send
Okay.
out the weigh-in twice a year, and they've gotta maintain that standard, or else they're going on the chopping block.
fantastic, you had your hand up, Sergeant.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they're ADOS, or what do they call it, OT.
Okay,
But we end up getting them on our books because, you know, most of these events are on the weekends. And the problem is that we're constantly, they're either, you know, because Georgia was doing the thing where they were amping up more.
right,
So they were always gone, and so we weren't even having our team to even run the events because they were doing their stuff with their drill. So if they're actually, like I said, we're trying to get them to become recruiters. So after like, I'd say like their first quarter with us, if they're good, then we get them onto our books, and so no, they no longer drill with their unit and they're doing weekends with us, so.
wow, okay, so you were actually able to add them to the recruiting and retention battalion?
So did y'all add them as an attachment, or did y'all add them as a assignment?
I don't know, I mean, maps aren't a lot of question, I just know that we were always constantly running into problems, like who's got drill this weekend, and it was just consistent problems, because every weekend we have something going on, and so that's why I have two teams. And now, like, my more senior ones that are about, they're attached to us. I think I got like one person right now that's still drilling with their stuff, but, like, for example, we got one that's, I mean, it was every month he had a drill weekend, and then he was like going out with like CBC and doing like a whole week, and he was gone. And so like, and then he was like my main dude that was setting up the stuff and doing our maintenance, and so we had to get him on our books. So that becomes a problem with the Met team. If you guys do get one, is that your recruiter's gonna be running at night and on weekends, and just having ADOS, you're gonna have that problem where they're not gonna be able to go out. And so that's how we had to figure that out, is to get them on our books.
Go ahead, Sergeant.
So another thing we do is we get their drill schedules ahead of time.
Okay,
So we get their, they publish, drill schedules are published around fourth quarter every year. So you got the drill schedules, you got their AT plan, because we want them with our units, because that way our units are deployed and stuff like that.
Roger.
And the soldier has soldier skills, not stuck in the RRB command. Another thing is, I have DTS rights. So right now I have rights where I can see everyone. So I can do their authorizations in DTS.
Oh,
their
awesome.
vouchers and stuff like that. So that's another workaround.
Okay,
But I wouldn't give it to anyone that has all DTS rights. I think this one's seasoned and
Okay.
knows their left and right Mondays.
okay. Yes, Sergeant?
One more Met.
That's okay.
I just love my Met team, so.
Good.
And another thing that y'all can justify with your Met team is like, right now, our Met team is used so much because it's so successful, but like when there is downtime, especially during a week, they're running PPI out or any of our print media to the teams, so my teams don't have to come to us. Because Georgia, I mean, we're not one of the biggest states, but, you know, 4 hours drive to Savannah is where our other big areas, and of course with the, you know,
Third
higher
ID.
population
Roger.
of active duty soldiers, they're not trying to come up to Atlanta to get our stuff, and it's just faster. So we're sending out stuff all the time with the team, so if this week, I know this weekend we have like 2 events going on, so one of my teams will be handling the events, and my other team will be pushing out all the other stuff out to them, because we got trucking trailers. So that was another good selling point on it.
Awesome. Yes, Sergeant?
So, small states struggle to have, because we can't keep ADOS for long enough, so we lose good people usually, but, trying to stand one up, the problem is there's really not a way to do it for, you know, one type of state. But does anybody have an SOP of their vet team? Like, who runs what, and, you know, so that they're not being abused by the field, like you're saying, just running them to the ground? Does anybody have one of those prepared already?
Go ahead,
My
Sergeant.
Met is assigned to marketing. They're marketing ADOS. They're specific. I counsel them. I'm their first line supervisor. If anybody in the field wants to use them, they need to contact me first. And if we're busy, they can't. And the stuff they want to use them for, it ain't gonna fly. And the commander gave me that authority.
So it's kind of like creating a protective measure for your ADOS personnel.
So as ADOS, they're assigned as marketing ADOS to us. And like I said, anybody wants to use them, they gotta come through me first. And they gotta justify it.
Do you have something on paper though? Because that's really the hard part, not having experience. I don't know how to write it. You know, I'm trying to write it before we get.
From my resource officer, when we did our brief, the way they're getting ADOS funding from NGB, they have to be specific on what position these ADOS are holding. So in that how they funding and everything, it's set up as their marketing ADOS. They're not RRB ADOS, they are marketing ADOS. And that's
Right,
coming down
actually what I was
from
thinking too,
NGB.
is like, well, these are given to the field to produce.
Yeah.
Not to assist.
So we have ADOS recruiters and then we have marketing ADOS and it's separate.
Yeah, it comes out, remember how recruiters, we can all, our battalion commanders all determine our UMRs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly what states do. They'll get funding, GWAT funding for recruiters that aren't real recruiters, but we send them to school to get them to be MLS or SQI4 qualified.
Mhm.
So that's one pot of money, and then we'll have another pot of money that's just for our ADOS help, that's our marketing and our med teams. So it kind of goes, it's up to your command, but they determine reality. So, but having an NFR with like, this is what they're supposed to be doing, that would be fantastic.
That's not the way I'm gonna get it funded through a small state though, so what do we need that for?
Yeah.
They don't get it, but these big states and other states are killing it with
What
these.
do we got?
Did you end up sending up like a request at the beginning of the year with all your other stuff that you wanted money for? You said that was an NGB asset?
That's how NGB came down and told the resource that's how they're gonna do the funding now. It came down from NGB that way to set it up that way. Like, they had to be specific on our resource side, had to be specific to NGB, what these ADARs are doing. And so the way it's funded, if they wanna move the money from a ADOS recruiter to a marketing ADOS, they have to go through NGB and review
So
the
that's
money
through
and
your
everything.
resources officer?
Yeah, so the
So you
resource
guys-
is straight through
yeah.
marketing.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Yes, Arn?
One of the issues we have, and I don't know if anybody else has this issue, especially with the small state, is our command will give or throw it out to vote. Do you want ADOS recruiter assistance, or do you want MET? And they always ask for recruiter assistance, so
Of
that's what
course.
the money gets put to.
Okay.
And then they complain and groan about not having
The support that they need for these events.
support for events. And I don't know if there's a way to kind of meet in the middle
Mhm.
somewhere, or if anybody has.
Go ahead, Sarn.
Yeah, so last year I had, for state New Hampshire, it's big, I had a 6-person Met team, and we did the same thing. We went out and like ran all their events for them, and we ran like 87 events for the state of New Hampshire. And we got a new commander, and the same thing, the commander was like, "Where do you guys want the ADOS?" And they're like, we really need them on the streets, sir, right? Like, Met
Of
team-
course.
Met team's not doing anything. Yeah, so he cut me from 6 people to 2 people, and I essentially have my office ADOS. January was 3 months, getting the additional 4 slots back from the street. So essentially my deal with the commander is that I just outworked my 2 ADOS, right? We've exceeded my capabilities on personnel, and not that it's me against the recruiters, but the production force is unable to prove that same thing, that they're using those 4 ADOS
Right.
slots to the maximum capability, and we've reallocated them back to the marketing.
You gotta make your ADOS worth it and everybody see their worth.
Yeah,
That's what we're doing. We do short notice events. We don't ever say no to anybody. We're running RPIs out. They're constantly working. All of our equipment always looks good, smells good. All the inflatables get really stink. That we washing them. They've never seen marketing like this before. So now they want the Met team. They're asking if we need more because we had instances where they had double events and we had to split the teams and the recruiters noticed it. So
Mhm.
now you gotta make your team worth it.
So the MET team was also utilized, since it was under or attached to marketing, you could utilize them to do those PPI runs.
Yep.
Because if it was just you can't get
They
to
gotta
everywhere.
come and get it and they're like, oh. you
That's a
know.
good point.
So they do, so when we get PPI in, within 2 days, they're going out already to the teams after we inventory them.
That's fantastic. Yes, Arn?
Yeah, so strategically, so we still have Met assets. And
Okay.
the commander's trade-off was, okay, we take away the Met team, but recruiters are now responsible for traveling to headquarters to 2062, the Met assets, and they had to get like trailer certified, so it worked out for me because it essentially made it, they went from trading off like, and not having an ADOS to now they had to do like a 4-hour block of driver's training, and they have to come between 08 and 1600 Monday through Friday to sign for the trailer, and then they
Wow.
have to drop it off because we only have 2 trucks for the entire state. So, yeah, they felt the pain for 3 months. So I think I won back my slots, but sometimes you just gotta grind your teeth for 3 months and like the commander just gave them what they wanted and they didn't realize that it's not what they wanted, so.
Roger that. Okay, so in terms of planning and preparing, in terms of the money, the funding that you need for your Met personnel, we established that it's ADOS orders that they would have to be on. How long are you able to put them on those ADOS orders? Is there a such
year.
thing as,
1 year.
so each year?
Mhm.
Go ahead, Sarn.
Yeah, you had to have a break in the orders. Typically, you can put them on orders for a year at a time. It's just like counter drug orders, if you're familiar with that program at all. So they're on a year. Sometimes, some states, because of funding, they may, for instance, this year, we had a situation where the soldiers started their orders in October, but they ended in December. And
Okay.
then they had to cut the rest of their orders just because we didn't have all of our funding in our bank account. So, but orders are typically for a year and you had to have a break in them for some reason.
So when do you submit the request for those ADOS funds?
They should go in fourth quarter of the
Fourth quarter.
previous FY.
Okay, so that's a good thing to keep in mind when you're doing your planning and preparing for these Met assets. All right, so we're actually going to move on. Was there anything else that you all wanted to add about the Met assets, planning and preparing? No? All right, got some good dialogue going. So let's open the Marketing NCO Handbook. Let's go there first. Everyone have that pulled up, right? That was one of the things I asked you all to pull up. Okay, let's go to page 38. We're going to jump into digital media when we're talking about planning and preparing for our marketing event. Someone read page 38, digital. Someone read that paragraph for me, please.
Digital or online advertising, also called online marketing, internet advertising or web advertising, is a form of marketing and advertising that uses the internet to deliver promotional marketing messages to consumers. Examples of digital advertising are display ads, video, opt-in lead generation, social media ads, paid search, email campaigns, and rich media. The media intent for digital advertising is engagement, and the KPI is also engagements. Clicks, video views, comments, likes, shares, email opens, or responses.
Cool. Let's check out
Hey, that's my picture right there, just so you guys know.
where. What picture?
There's a
Oh, it looks
picture.
like one.
That's my picture I did in a mall.
Is that one of your kids right there?
Let's move on to social media. Somebody read that paragraph right there.
It's a mall.
Social media is the term for websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. Social media networks include Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, LinkedIn, and YouTube. The media intent is primarily based on engagement with a secondary focus on impressions. The KPI is both engagement and impressions. There are multiple types of available, multiple ad types available in this programmatic medium, and due to the nature of evolving platforms, the advertising options evolve frequently.
Cool. Let's go to, more specifically, the Army National Guard social media guidebook. Everybody open that up. And go to page 16. Page 16. If you scroll down, it says each social media channel has its own nuances, audiences, and best practices. Although all social networks used by Army National Guard are explained in detail, don't forget to narrow the focus for your state's recruiting efforts and only invest resources where it makes sense for you. It's tempting to jump on new social media networks and promote your state, but before you think about joining a new network, ask yourself, what's that first bullet say? Somebody read that.
Who is my target audience and are they on this
Target audience. We've been talking about this over and over again. We've been talking about preparing and planning for your marketing event. So you want to stay focused primarily on that target audience. What's the next bullet say?
Do I have the content to sustain this account?
Content, meaning what?
Videos, images, ability to post stuff. The Marine Corps does a great job weekly of doing a contest. So do you have the ability to continue that if you start? If you open that can of worms.
Content as well as personnel. Roger, anybody have a social media NCO or a social media tech that's dedicated solely to social media?
You need another
A lot of people aren't raising their hand. Dual-headed? Yeah.
But you have someone that's dedicated to the social media program for your state, for the RRB, right?
Sergeant Hahn.
Sergeant Hahn? That's one of your many hats, huh?
Yeah.
And what does the last bullet say?
Can I be active and engaged with users?
Precisely. So whether it's Sergeant Hahn or a dedicated social media personnel, right? Once you've answered these questions and know what channels to focus on, visit each platform's specific page for guidance and suggestions. All right, so as I said before, we have Miss Julie here from Forest Marsh. And you want to talk briefly about Forest Marsh and how they assist with digital and social media?
Sure. So Forest Marsh Group, we're an applied research firm in Arlington, Virginia, and we run the Guard's social media channels. We have a call center that we also help run. We're responding to all of the direct messages, and we also maintain the nationalguard.com website, and then I maintain and update the arngsocialmedia.com website. So that's a little bit of background about us. We also work alongside a subcontractor, IO Studio. They do a lot of like our film and photography, creative work. And my job is solely focused on supporting the states. So like I said, write the newsletter every week. And I'm also, just as I've been listening to all of you talk, been jotting down a couple of ideas for how best to use social in when planning for events. So I can go into that if that's helpful. Or did you have some questions that you wanted to ask to lead it off?
Well, I'm going to jump into specifics first, and then we
Sure.
can come back to that. All right, awesome. So let's go to a video real quick, because everybody loves videos, right? So how many of you all know Sergeant First Class David and Sergeant First Class McCullough? Y'all know
No
them?
McCullough, that's got 4 there.
Cool.
It's my neighbor, like,
Okay.
statewide.
So overall, I mean, it's common knowledge now that we have to stay relevant in the digital media and social media platforms, right? Because in order to reach our target market, which is who? Gen Z and late millennials, right? We have to stay relevant in, the digital realm. So this is just going to be somewhat of an introductory video explaining that. But I really want you all to stay focused on the planning and preparing, which means promoting your events through social media. Cool?
Hi, I'm Sergeant David with the Colorado National Guard. I'm accompanied today by Sergeant McCullough from the Vermont.
All right, phenomenal. How many of you all have actually had the opportunity to attend or send your social media rep to that Georgetown training? Thoughts overall?
I mean, it was just a very, very high-level look at social media.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I went through it, I don't know, maybe it's changed now, I did mine about a year ago, but like, they're still talking about Google Plus and stuff in there.
Okay.
It's not really relevant right now, but it was a very high-level look at each individual platform, which I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some that I really don't know much about, like Pinterest, but I can see its value.
Okay.
I like some of the handouts and the tools that they have provided, like the message distiller, so you can kind of think about and get your gears turning as to exactly what verbiage and messaging to present to specific audiences on each platform
Okay.
on a strategic level.
Gotcha. So do you feel like after taking the course that it helped you get a better understanding of how you can utilize social media platforms to promote your events and get more engagement with the community in the local area to actually attend your events? You feel like it helps you somewhat with that? Okay, awesome. So Julie, if you want to jump in.
Sure. So that video spoke broadly to social. I'm going to speak more specifically to social as it applies to event planning. So I would recommend going where your audience is, and they're primarily on Instagram and Facebook. So you all have professional presences on those platforms. Something that someone over here mentioned earlier was like be 30 days in advance. That's a great idea. I think that you have to plan your content accordingly. Something that I recommend using is a third-party tool like Hootsuite or Later or Buffer, scheduling your content. You can also do this in Creative Studio on Facebook if you're knowledgeable about that. So just start thinking through how you can be promoting this, information about your event. And then I also recommend collaborating with two entities, those being your schools. If you're doing events at schools, make sure that you have a relationship with whoever is running their social media accounts. And then also your recruiters. I know that there's been not necessarily the best relationships with recruiters and marketing NCOs from what I've heard, and it's neither here nor there. These are your evangelists. These are people that you want to be sharing their content. You want to be tagging them in content, and then vice versa, trying to build that relationship with them. For example, I wanted to share a little bit about the interview I did in a newsletter with Idaho Army National Guard in January. And they're doing excellent work with their e-gaming events. They hosted a Call of Duty tournament with Boise State, and they were tagging each other on posts, the university and the state, and just like building a lot of momentum ahead of the event. They created a Facebook event on their page, and they also created a public Facebook event, which anyone can search for and find if they just go to Facebook events. So I think it's really important, if you're not already following your recruiters, be sure to follow them. Find those who are active on social and professional. Those things are important. Another thing is give your recruiters ideas for how they can be sharing about the event. So one example is tell your recruiter to take a selfie the morning of the event. They just set up, take a selfie, tag the location, have a CTA, call to action, like, hey, I'm here from this time to this time, come visit. If you're not able to visit but you're still interested in learning about how to go guard, DM me for more information. You can also tell your recruiters to take stories, Insta stories or Facebook stories, give people a behind the scenes look at what they're doing that day, who's there, what the setup looks like, if people can get a free RPI at the table, like make sure to show those. Other things is make sure people know the location of the event. If there's parking, we kind of discussed logistics a little bit earlier. Just getting all that information out there.
So you're saying include that information in the social media post?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. And so that kind of leads into my next point about content strategy. So you want to craft a compelling event description. And if you don't know how to get started with that, it's really easy. Who, what, when, where, why, right? So who's going to be there? What is it? When is it? Where, what's the address of the place? And why should you come? Like, what are you going to get out of this? What's in it for you guys? So I think if you can write a description that's really selling the event, post it on your socials, give it to your recruiter, say, hey, share this. I already wrote the description, push it out, add your own call to action. If it's like DM me or email me or text me, they can add that in. Something that we do for larger events is we'll create a custom hashtag for an event. So if it's like your annual state fair, someone said they have a state fair once a year. Was that you here? Yeah. So create an event. Did you use one last year, a hashtag?
In our post, we use the state fairs hashtag.
Okay.
And we didn't create an event because there was already, the state fair had its own event, so we didn't want to
Yeah.
duplicate efforts there. But we continue to share their content. I wouldn't say they shared ours, but we shared theirs.
Yeah, well, maybe you DM them and say, hey, we're posting about you guys. Would you mind sharing and tagging us? Like, we'll be there. But if there's not already a hashtag, like, create your own with, like, the year. If it's, like, Annual State Fair 2020, like, you kind of get what I'm saying. So I would recommend doing that, using that hashtag across social media, whatever channel you're promoting on. And then the importance of tagging. I cannot emphasize how important it is to tag the location, tag the recruiters, tag the schools or the venue, wherever this event is taking place, because that shows up in people's search feeds. So, like, for example, if you ever look at a post analytics on Instagram, for example, you can see how many people came to your post from the use of hashtags and location tags. There's a breakdown. And so many people come to you even if they don't follow you. So just make sure to keep that in mind. We talked about paid advertising, which isn't my wheelhouse. Kaki can help you with that. If you're into posting on Instagram stories, there's a palette of stickers that I'm sure you guys are familiar with. You can tag a location, you can add a GIF, you can add a countdown sticker. Countdown stickers are great. I first started seeing brands use them, countdown to like their spring sale or whatever, if it's a clothing company. But you can use the countdown sticker to an event as well. So if you want to just give people a little heads up, that's a great way to do it. And then specifically more to Facebook, I mentioned this before, but you can create an actual event on Facebook to your page, but then publicly to the broader Facebook community that's maybe not following your page. So just do that. Yeah, it's extra work, but if you've already written your description, grab a compelling image, put it together, and just get it out there. Make people aware of it so they can RSVP. I think that's also really beneficial. Something about Facebook that is an advantage over Instagram is that you can add links to your posts. If you guys know Campo, you can create a Campo link and have it tracked on the back end, like how many people are clicking it. So I would just create links to add to your Facebook posts. You can link people anywhere you want, really. To get started for them is the #1 place I recommend directing people. So something to keep in mind. And then also, I want to say 2 more things. So evaluate your efforts. How did they perform? Were people engaged? Track how many people liked, commented, DM'd, RSVP'd. If you posted a story, like how many people reacted to that. And we call them AARs. So do that. Encourage your recruiters to be tracking performance of engagement on social as well, so you know what to do and not do next time around. And then the last thing I want to provide is just a sneak peek this week's newsletter. I am interviewing a recruiter from Tennessee. I don't think we have Tennessee in the room, do we? Okay, well, he's a really cool guy, and he has started a number of e-gaming clubs at high schools, and the students promote the events for him. It's really genius. I'm doing a 20 questions interview with him this week, so keep an eye out for that. But e-gaming's the next big thing, and we all kind of know that. So if you're not on Twitch, you know, I encourage you to look into that a little bit more. Read that newsletter interview with Idaho. And yeah, if you are in a place where you can direct your recruiters to maybe consider starting an e-gaming club at high schools, like they'll do a lot of the work for you. So these are new things that I'm hearing I'd like to share with you guys. And also, I want to open the floor if anyone has any questions that I can answer while I'm here.
Any questions?
Yep.
Is everyone getting the newsletter? No? You guys, does everybody get it?
Yes. No.
Okay. No, no?
Yeah,
It's really
I
good.
can add it.
You gotta get it.
How are they receiving the newsletter currently?
It's a distribution list,
Okay.
so I can just add emails. Or if you want to just visit the arngsocialmedia.com site, there's an archive of newsletters there
Here we go.
as
right?
well.
Copyrighted, is it?
What's that?
Is that newsletter copyrighted? Because
Copyrighted?
our social media team just takes that and just changes the stuff.
To do what with it?
We send it out to the field like it's ours.
Oh.
I ain't gonna lie.
No, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
All
I didn't know
right.
Because it's, so California,
Gotcha.
you send it to Sergeant Hernandez, our social media team, and I saw it, and I was just like, hey, just blast it out to the field, change a couple things, and it looks like you did it.
Okay, well, now that I know that, I mean, we do request to get credit for it because I write those every week, and like that's my work. And
But
passing
getting out to the field.
it, passing
Getting out to
it,
the field.
yeah, but passing it off as someone else's work
No,
is
no.
illegal. So
We turn it into our newsletter. We take that information and we do a monthly newsletter.
Okay.
So it's not, I'm not taking the whole thing. I'm just taking segments out of it and publishing it out like what's.
yeah,
Just sharing the information.
sharing the information.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
But I would say if it's copied and pasted verbatim, at least giving credit to the source.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Hold on. Eddie.
Oh, good question. Why are we on TikTok?
What's the question?
on TikTok.
DOD said we cannot.
Oh, so TikTok.
Am I saying it wrong?
No.
she got
So TikTok has been banned on U.S. military devices. These are orders coming from the command, Army National Guard, other military branches. TikTok is an app owned by a Chinese parent company called ByteDance. So there's just a lot of worry and concern about national security. DMs are tracked. Locations are tracked by China. So I'm not sure that having the Chinese government running an app where recruiters are trying to get people to join the military is the best idea. So it's been officially banned, and if you have it, please delete it.
That makes sense. 1 second. I just want to refer you all to arngsocialmedia.com. Here's how it looks right here. And this is where she was talking about you can get the newsletters. So
Yeah.
if you all aren't getting those emails, you can go directly to the website and pull them up yourself. Okay, without plagiarizing. Okay, go ahead, Sarn.
So I got into an argument with my recruiters before I left about TikTok. And I said, it's a no-go, it's, everything you just said. And they're like, yeah, that's fine, we can't download it on a government, whatever, but we can still use it.
For recruiting or for their personal?
On their personal phones, they can still use it.
For recruiting?
For recruiting.
Yeah.
What's the guidance on that?
The
An email was actually sent out that we were not to use it for recruiting purposes or for personal.
So the ban is on government devices, but the activity of recruiting using that app is, from my understanding, also banned.
Sorry,
So
can
I
you-
would refer them. Yeah. Do you have more information?
We're gonna have to
Yeah,
upload the document.
This is how this kind of works with these apps like this. Remember how you can't use your personal money to buy RPI for enlistments or leads, right? Same concept. You can't use your personal phone that you pay a bill on representing the United States military for recruiting purposes. You're breaking the rules. It's on the Army social media policy. Once you go to army.mil/social-media/managers, you'll see all the things you can do and all the things that you can't do. And that's where it's all at. So, but this,
Can we put out like an actual memorandum from the
it's
DoD?
kind of on here. And I mean, you know what, we'll find a way to do that,
Yeah.
just to clear the
Find
air.
a way to be like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a
It needs to
gray
be in
area.
black and white.
Something worse
Yeah.
with that.
Absolutely, I agree. We're gonna take one last question, and then for the sake of time, we're gonna drive on. Go ahead, Sergeant Miller.
Just on the memo, if they could get us a memo that I can push out to the field, because in our state, it was pushed down through our six shop that it was recommended that we don't use it
Roger.
because of this. But nobody said it was banned or anything like that, if we're not supposed to use it.
Roger.
Something black and white, like you
Yeah.
said, push out to the field, that way I can say, stop, cut it.
Too easy.
And if I could just add one final thing, TikTok does not drive leads. It's not known for that. It's entertainment. People are passively consuming. People aren't active on TikTok. Only the entertainers are that have tons of followers. Yeah, it's trendy with like the young teenagers these days, and I know everyone wants to be on the platform that are popular, but for the purpose of guard recruiting, it just really doesn't make sense from a lead gen perspective.
Yep, just like we were talking about, knowing our target audience. Okay.
I'd have to, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but we put a video out before this all came out. Got like 600,000 people that engaged for free. You saw, someone's gonna tell me that I paid $60,000 for, that many impressions on another contract within like 30 days that we've had that, and we didn't pay $1. So, I mean, it didn't clash with PII, it didn't clash with like, join the guard, but it was just like a drill sergeant doing like some stupid, sprinting circle. It had nothing to do with like information we don't want the Chinese to find out. Are we blocking ourselves from free advertisement by saying not to use that because we're worried PII is going to be captured? But
Here's the thing. When we put out blanketed, mandated guidance, it's for a reason. Because although that particular post didn't have any of the PII concerns that we're talking about, there are several others that may utilize it and put out some information that they're not supposed to. So what we always have to do is protect ourselves and make sure that we're following regulation to the T. So as of right now,
that's not regulation, you're saying.
Policy.
It's a suggestion, but I can't really enforce it. And I
we'll get you something in writing, sir. So what are the 5 paragraphs of the op order?
Situation.
Sustainment and command and control. Who? Who? We all tracking? All right. So why do we think it would be useful for us to have the 5-paragraph op order when it comes to planning an event? For those of you all who don't utilize it, how do you think that could help you better plan and prepare for your event? What do you think?
If you follow all 5 tenets on it, it's going to give you exactly what you need for a battle plan. And when designing it, if anything's lacking, it's going to be pretty obvious to you or your commanders reviewing your plan that you're deficient in one of the 5 steps.
Cool, absolutely. Sergeant Barber, you had something?
That was exactly what I was gonna say.
Okay. Yep. So providing justification and identifying any type of issues ahead of time. So for those of you who do not utilize the op order, why is that? Being honest. Time. Okay, what else? Seems kind of like a lot of work, right? Overkill. Okay, what else?
I don't run the events.
Okay, gotcha. So do you think it would be helpful to have the recruiter's input when creating an op order? You think you would get that buy-in from the recruiters? Sometimes?
It's hard just to get an AR from them.
So it's like one more thing, and it's an actual formal document. Yes. Yes. Go ahead, Sergeant Barber.
So in New York, because we have so many events, there's no possible way that marketing can be involved with the majority of them. But we do, like the recruiters will do a con op to the company, and it goes up to the company command for approval.
Okay.
And then, we just try to provide as much marketing support as possible, and that's usually included in their con op.
Okay. All right. So the majority of you are not utilizing it. If you're having issues with getting support from your leadership or buy-in or backing from your leadership, I highly suggest you give it a try. I mean, this one is very detailed. You can tell that your state does them all the time because it goes into detail about everything.
This is a big reoccurring event.
Okay, it's a big reoccurring event, exactly. But for those of you all who have like a small thing going on, it may not take you as long as you think to create an op order. And the more you do it, the more efficient you will be with your time. Okay? So that's just to give you an example. It's not mandatory. In most states, it's not mandatory. But you never know. But you'll have this for your reference now. Cool? Okay. So we are going to break out in our groups. Okay? So we have our 1, 2, 3 groups, right? So now that we've discussed some of the things that you need to consider when planning and preparing for a marketing event, we will break into groups and give you a chance to plan an event.